again, I'm getting terrible Wi-Fi, so I don't know why. So hopefully you guys can see and hear okay.
So yeah,
Flex
Amir,
Central is the area we're trying to get away from. Can
Amir,
you hear
we
me okay?
lost the last part you said. So if you can just like you can walk us again on this part, environment and the alert
Yeah,
logic.
sure. So Alert Logic is set up in our Flex Central environment today.
Mm-hmm,
We have the ability to put that into Azure as well,
mm-hmm,
but we're not very happy with it, and we're looking to kind of replace it. So Alert Logic at its heart does three things: network intrusion detection, log
mm-hmm.
management, and vulnerability scanning. We have
Okay,
another tool for vulnerability scanning. So vulnerability scanning is not something we're interested in Azure. We already have that covered. It's
okay.
the network intrusion detection and the log management. So I'll show you an example of what we're getting at here. With the network intrusion detection, I'll click over here for a second. It's constantly through an agent detecting, potentially malicious information or activity on a server. So let me open up
Mm-hmm.
this one, for example. So here's an example where we have an internal server, and they were thinking that some malicious script was running against the server. I guess this got caught in the logs, though, and that's what they did it. So we get alerts from Alert Logic if they see anything in our logs, or if they see
Mm-hmm.
anything, any in network malicious activity as well.
Yeah, that was.
Then what's that?
I'm saying yes, that was in the log. I was confirming that was in the log.
Okay, yeah. So this is a good example of one that happened in the logs. But we have all these different servers that are loading logs into this environment, and then they're running stuff against it to kind of figure out if there's any problems going on. So I can go into the search functionality, for example, and I could create my own log searches if I wanted to, which we really don't do a whole lot. But this is where I think they're getting. This is where I came up with Microsoft's products, because if I go in here, they used to tell us exactly what they were looking for, and that's no longer available, unfortunately. Or I could tell you exactly what they're searching for, but they have all these saved log views in here that I can use to figure out if there's a problem happening on our network. They have a lot more running in the background that I don't have access to. But if something triggers that on the alert logic side, they will send us one of these incidents, and we'll say, hey, you want to take a look at, some code running on your server, or here, this is a network one because they saw a reconnaissance from Qualys, which is our vulnerability product. So you can
Yes.
see as soon as they see something malicious, either in the logs or on the network, they're sending it to us for us to review. That's kind of what we're trying to get out of the Azure environment. But we're not convinced Alert Logic is doing a good job, because we have other monitoring tools running out there that pick up stuff that clearly is malicious. Alert Logic is not picking it up. So we're looking for something that's a little bit better from both the network intrusion detection and the log management slash looking through logs, and some type of automated application that will look through the logs for
Okay.
signatures or some type of compromise.
Okay. All
Does
right.
that make sense?
Yeah, completely. I agree with you. So yeah, so this is different from what the Sentinel one does. So Sentinel one, so Alert Logic is doing an analytics part. The Sentinel one doesn't do that. It's see that basically the the Sentinel one basically works on endpoint protection mechanism and not on the. So this Alert Logic is basically working on log management. It basically uh, analyzes the logs for any kind of malicious activity or some other threats, and then the IDS part. So can you show me how this network IDS is working? Like it, either it is like detecting the events occurring on the servers, or it's just again analyzing the logs for this part.
Now I'll show you an example of what it's doing. So I'll go to the events, and this is where I'm not quite an expert on this by a long shot, but I'll show you. Here are 5 events that it picked up in the last 24 hours. A
Mm-hmm.
command shell running, and 2 command shells and 3 SQL. So if I click on this one, for example, it shows us the IP address that it's coming from and the destination it's going to.
Mm-hmm.
So I can go in here and you can see it has the actual packet information inside of here, along with some event correlation. There's a bunch of stuff in here. None of these though are really an issue, so we weren't alerted to a problem here.
So based upon what I have seen so far, the alert logic is again working on the event occurring on the machines, right? So it's
On the
basically
what? I'm sorry.
on the events occurring on the machines, on the servers.
Right.
Yeah, it correlates the events then see link up the different events to see what information that they can pull up. So Amir, like we have a similar tool we called as event management, or we can like event tracker for another name. So that's a similar to it. It basically does the job of the log management for you. It's an agent-based tool. It deploys agent on the machine and then collects the events, and then there's a similar job of alarming you against malicious activity on your servers if someone tries to brute force into your machine. So like if your machine is publicly exposed, like for some application servers, so if someone is trying to log in into your machine by using different permutation combinations for username and password, it will going to alarm you. So that we have another tool for it. Uh, we can showcase that tool to you, and then you can make a comparison of both the tools, the alert logic you have and the event tracker we have, to see which one is the right fit for you. But the Sentinel one is not the one that you should go for, based upon what you have seen me so far. So Sentinel one is not the one. Azure Sentinel can be a good option, but see, I'm not an expert on it. We can call someone. But similar to Alert Logic, we have another tool that is Event Tracker. That can be a good fit for you. We can demonstrate.
Does it look at network activity as well as the logs on the server?
See, it does look at the logs. It does look at the file monitoring. It changes in the file level, not in deep level, but yeah, high level monitoring of the file changes. It does take care of the network intrusion, in the sense I told you, like some kind of brute force happening on the machines, like someone tried to log into the machines remotely with different username password combinations, all those categories. So that's the same thing I have observed from your ideas, that they are like detecting the login activities, but I'm not sure if Logic is doing some kind of network intrusion, like they try to penetrate, or they're exposing the vulnerabilities of the networks. So they're not doing it. They're just Alert Logic is, I guess, doing the correlation based upon the events, and the events that showcase the malicious or any kind of anomaly detected on the access of the machines from different locations. So I guess that what this Alert Logic is doing. So
Got it.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
but
So Amir,
I'm not.
we could,
Yeah, please continue.
yeah. So what we could do from our end is, like, just for a trial period for 5 days, we could, give you one agent to install and do your analysis basis on your requirement. And Mohit, if you could walk him through the portal of Event Tracker, do you have that readily
Definitely.
available? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So give Amir the insight about the Event Tracker portal, and furthermore, we could talk if he intends to take the demo of the same on his virtual machine.
Yeah, I mean
Does
that
the
makes.
agent send data to outside of our environment to do all this, to some other body's cloud environment?
Event Tracker.
Yes.
Yeah, so Event Tracker basically it is an agent-based tool, so it will definitely collect the data and it will sending data back to the Event Tracker collection center. So Event Tracker has a different uh, application portal that sits on Event Tracker's data centers. So all the servers will be sending on the data to those collectors, and then Event Tracker will be building up the information or some kind of analyticals on that information. So they're definitely going to send out the data from the servers. But
Okay.
it won't touch any of your application data or any kind of user data. It's just going to work on the events that are going to occur or will be occurring on the servers.
I'm just trying to, because I'm just trying to understand, is the event tracker, is it considered to be a intrusion detection system?
Not in classic sense. So intrusion detection, event tracker is not considered to be an IDS or IPS. It basically works as a log management tool.
So if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I need log management and I need IDS, what do you typically recommend they put on their server?
Yeah, both these combination doesn't come oftenly. So I haven't come across like someone is requiring both in a one application. So we have people who which uses IDs and IPS, but they primarily use that IDs and IPS on a network level with different kind of firewalls in place. So they basically relies on firewalls to protect against IDs and IPS because this thing is relates to network level, and the log management is basically relates to the OS and application level. So we, as of now, we never I didn't, honestly speaking, IDs and IPS, if you want to go for event tracker, uh, if you want to completely rely on event tracker for this particular purpose, so that would not be a good, it's not going to suffice all the requirements. It will do the job of the IDs and IPS just to take care of the anomalies and malicious activities from the perspective of the access on the servers.
So you're saying that it will identify if there is malicious activity on the servers, but it's not going to, defend the servers, if you will, and add shun rules to the firewall.
The IDs and IPS, they are two different mechanisms. So in classic sense, IPS works on these signatures on a global database of IPS signatures, right? So normally the common firewalls like the Cisco or any other firewall you work on with, so they have an IPS feature that you enable it, and then it downloads the IPS signatures from a global database and then protects the threads or the underlying infra against those threats based upon those signatures. What event tracker does in this scenario for the IPS or IDs thing is it will definitely block the traffic. So let's suppose some we have an access coming from a remote location that is considered to be malicious by the event tracker. So event tracker will alarm you, plus it will block the IP for accessing the traffic. But if you're saying you want to completely replace your network IPS or IDS from with the event tracker, so that would be a different thing. So that's what I want to be very clear from the very beginning. I don't want it. We should be having we got misunderstandings about clarifying the features about the event tracker and the requirements you have.
I see. Okay, so from an individual server level perspective, the event tracker has the ability to identify malicious activity and even block it. But if you're looking
Yes.
at it from a holistic network perspective,
Yes. No.
it's not a network intrusion detection system. It's an individual server protection
Yes.
system.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not looking at multiple servers and correlating over multiple sources. It's looking at individual points
Yes.
of decision.
Right. Yeah. So as Randhir mentioned, so what we can do is we can go for a trial of one server. We can put that into event tracker. We can see how the event tracker is collecting the logs, how it working out in comparison to the alert logic, and based upon that comparison, we can make a decision of where we want to go at.
Yeah.
And also, what we can do is we can also have on another call. We can also call in Azure Sentinel expert who can explain the capabilities of Azure Sentinel, and then we can make a comparison between the three to see which one is a good tool for our environment and the requirements we have.
Or we can install one suite, including Sentinel 1 and Event Tracker on one single server, so that you get to know all the functionalities of both these tools, and could help you to make a mind if you want to proceed with these implementation of these tools. Because Sentinel-1 is a kind of end protection tool that we are using. It detects the issue and then it remediates as well.
Gotcha.
But
So
those are
Sentinel, the
precious.
EDR. I'm sorry. I just had one question. So Sentinel-1, that's the endpoint protector. That's the EDR from the endpoint perspective. And you're saying, from what I got, with your explanation regarding the tracker, that's more of a host SIM. It works as a SIM, but it can do host-based IDS.
Yes. So Event Tracker is a SIM based tool. It works on the SIM framework, and yeah, it works on a like host level IDS and not a like a network level or a infra level IDS. And the Sentinel-1 is an endpoint protection tool, right? And to add one more thing to the capabilities of Event Tracker and the Sentinel-1. So with both the tools, if you choose either one or both the tools, you would be getting support from our dedicated security team. So we have a security operations control team that works around the clock to work with you, with us, like with our engineers, with your engineers if needed, to collectively work on these kind of threats that pertains selectively to the endpoint protection or the event tracker. So that should get along with your any one of the tool you go ahead with.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So any more questions you have regarding event tracker or Sentinel-1?
No, I guess we have two takeaways before we can decide what we want to do. One of the challenges, part of our organizational policy, we don't ship data out to like data center, without going through a process first. So I just need to see how involved that process would be to do a proof of concept. And then two, is take it away, Janelle and I, to some of our partners to figure out if the combination of Sentinel-1 and the event tracker is sufficient to meet our requirements to replace Alert Logic. So I think now that we understand those products, we can have that conversation and then the other conversation and then go from there.
All right. Yeah. So as you mentioned about a organizational policies regarding the data being transferred to the outside organization. So how is alert logging right now working? So is it like you have hosted a server internally? Like how is it working right now?
Yes, we do. We have a log collector server and an intrusion detection server that are maintained in our Flex Central environment. So yeah. But I'm not saying it's not possible, but like with Alert Logic, for example, we went through a due diligence of them. We got all their SOC 2 certifications and NDAs signed. So it was a whole process. Now, because we've already gone through that with them, if we wanted to ship logs to their server somewhere, it wouldn't be an issue because we already got all the approvals. I just need to figure out for this, if we have a server that doesn't have super sensitive data, if we could get a waiver on that for the proof of concept. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, you can check because the security, the uh, locational data is of utmost importance. So yeah, you can definitely check with the team if you can get an exception to at least one server, so that we can do a POC for it, and based upon that we can make decisions.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like, Amir, next steps for you are to sort of internally identify how this will work moving forward from a compliance perspective, and then we should follow up within, per your request as far as how we're going to move forward. Is that accurate?
Yeah, or I can also follow up as soon as I've heard back, figured out, how to best move forward with that we have.
Okay, I mean, that sounds good. Nathan and I are here, essentially immediately if you have any questions in the interim. But otherwise, if I don't hear from you within the week, I'll be sure to follow up and check on the progress of that. Hopefully that doesn't bother you too much, but I would imagine it'd be helpful.
Yeah, not bother at all.
All right. Well, sounds good. I appreciate the time. Any last minute, anybody got any save rounds before we conclude?
No, not me.
Okay. Again, thank you all for joining the call. Really appreciate it, Mohit, you taking the lead here. Looking forward to working with you also. Thanks very much. Have a good rest of your week.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thanks for your time.